All right, if you're following this from part one, we was going through an article that was written by a woman who lived through the time in 1938 when Hitler um, took over Austria, and he was democratically elected by 98% of the vote. And we've covered a good bit of things that different changes and stuff like that. Now we're fixing to get into mercy killings redefined. In 1944, I was a student teacher in a small village in the Alps. The villagers were surrounded by mountain passes, which in the winter were closed off with snow, causing people to be isolated. So people intermarried and offspring were sometimes retarded. When I arrived, I was told there were 15 mentally retarded adults, but they were all useful and did good manual work. I knew one named Vincent very well. He was a janitor at the school. One day I looked out the window and saw Vincent and others getting onto a van. I asked my superior where they were going. She said to an institution where the state health department would teach them a trade and to read and write. The families were required to sign papers with a little clause that said they could not visit for 6 months. They were told visits would interfere with the program and might cause homesickness. As time passed, letters started to dribble back saying these people died a natural, merciful death. The villagers were not fooled. We suspected what was happening. Those people left in excellent physical health and all died within 6 months. We called this euthanasia. And the final steps were the gun laws. Next came gun registration. People were getting injured by guns. Hitler said that the real way to catch criminals, we still had a few, was by matching serial numbers on guns. Most citizens were law-abiding and dutifully marched down to the police station to register their firearms. Not long afterwards, the police said it would be best for everyone to turn in their guns. The authorities already knew who had them, so it was futile not to comply voluntarily. No more freedom of speech. Anyone who said something against the government was taken away. We knew many people who were arrested, not only Jews, but also priests and ministers who spoke up. Totalitarianism didn't come quickly. It took 5 years from 1938 until 1943 to realize a full dictatorship in Austria. Had it happened overnight, my countrymen would have fought to the last breath. Instead, we had creeping gradualism. Now our only weapons were broom handles. The whole idea sounds almost unbelievable that the state little by little eroded our freedom. After World War II, Russian troops occupied Austria. Women were raped, preteen to elderly. The press never wrote about this either. When the Soviets left in 1955, they took everything they could, dismantling whole factories in the process. They sawed down whole orchards of fruit, and what they couldn't destroy, they burned. We called it the burned earth. Most of the population barricaded themselves inside their houses. Women hid in their cellars for 6 weeks as the troops mobilized. Those who couldn't paid the price. There's a monument in Vienna today dedicated to those women who were massacred by the Russians. This is an eyewitness account. It is true. Those of us who sailed past the Statue of Liberty to a country of unbelievable freedom and opportunity. America truly is the greatest country in the world. Don't let freedom slip away. After America, there is no place to go. So, I can see a lot of parallels between what happened in Austria and kind of what's going on in our country today. I mean, if you can't really see the parallels, then what good are you? If you don't have the thinking capacity to sit there and see what's going on today, and especially after hearing that story, see exactly where it's leading. You know, but I got to tell you this. You know, there's something that gave me, went on ahead and boosted my little spirits about these different situations we're going to be facing. Last night I had an encounter with a local police officer. And during this encounter, it wasn't anything bad, you know, he was kind of just riding through the neighborhood and everything. And, of course, we was all standing outside, and, you know, he come over and, you know, just kind of see what was going on. And I guess there'd been, some ruckus and everything going on, and we had some neighbors down the road that liked to haul ass up and down the street. But anyway, he'd come over and he was asking about, if we had seen a particular vehicle motoring around. And so after we were sitting there talking to him for probably about 3 or 4 minutes, I went on ahead and handed him one of the Oath Keeper cards that I carry around. Here's, I'm sure y'all have seen them. I carry these around, different Oath Keeper stuff and the 10 orders on the back. Now, it's been a little while ago since I've done this, but I actually went down and spoke with the chief of police here in my local town. And I put together a package in a manila envelope. It had Sheriff Richard Mack's book. It had a DVD of the Oath Keepers produced, as well as one of the trifold brochures and some push cards and a couple other little things I threw in there. And I spoke with him. Just briefly. I probably spent about 3 or 4 minutes speaking with him. And whenever I went to hand this card to the officer last night, he was like, "Oh yeah, we've already got those." And I was kind of taken back. I'm like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, the chief actually put those out in the officer's room." That stoked me pretty good. I got pretty stoked about that whenever I heard that. Whenever I went down and spoke with the chief of police, that he actually looked through the things that I gave him and apparently watched the DVD and read the book and looked through the stuff and actually got on the line and went to the website and seen what the Oath Keepers were all about. And that he feels strongly enough to where he's actually speaking with some of the officers under his command and placing our material out. That's awesome, man. And that was just something very simple. Put together a little package, take it down, see if you can speak with the chief. Probably the best thing to do would be to try to schedule a time beforehand, maybe. I know sometimes police chiefs can probably be pretty finicky, dealing with all the different hassles, different administrative things and that they have to do. But it was worth it, man. Because if we get through to our local law enforcement, and the military, it's going to be some of the best allies we've got. Now, kind of going off on a side note here, I've been asked several questions regarding Hitler. Ahmadinejad coming out saying, well, they've got the ability to enrich uranium above 80%. So what if they do? So what? What right do we have going to another country and telling them exactly what they can and can't do? I mean, a lot of this imperialistic bullshit that individuals within our government seem to be trying to carry out. But what does it matter if if they start developing nuclear weapons? We don't have a right to go over there and tell them they can't do it. Do I believe that he's telling the truth and he's not blowing smoke? Hey, I know the Persians invented the chess game. I'm not going to say he doesn't have it and he's blowing smoke, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's telling the truth. I know in the same token, he said that they had the ability to do it, but they weren't building a bomb because they didn't need it. Whether you want to believe what he said or not, doesn't matter. I know they had, if Iran was to develop a nuclear weapon, and an ICBM capable of delivering it to us, it could not touch this soil unless somebody intentionally let it slip by. Oh, and as far as them smuggling one in and detonating one, without the ICBM capability, say smuggling it across the borders and stuff, well, how many of them damn suitcase nukes went missing that the Russians had? So doesn't really matter to me if they got them, if they got the ability to build them or not. I mean, what gives us the right to go around? I mean, we have this Constitution, and a lot of us try to, uphold the Constitution and this, that, and another. Why would we be okay with going over and trying to basically strip away another country's freedom to keep and bear arms? Now, if they use them against us, you blow all them bastards straight to hell. But until then, we have no right to do anything about it. Plain and simple truth. It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. Y'all have a good one.